Musk, and he will tell you the truth. Nachi free.
Our political philosophy is representative democracy and social justice.
The term social justice has been tossed around for years and exploited by some of the most murderous totalitarian dictators throughout history. In that old video clip, you can see the former dictator and psychopathic pig known as Fidel Castro, speaking in the early years of his deceptively romanticized revolution, espousing the virtues of social justice that destroyed any hope of genuine prosperity for Cubans and ultimately ushered in a murderous regime that imprisoned thousands of Cubans for decades and even murdered many of the very people who helped them achieve absolute power. This is why social justice is such a disingenuous and destructive term. It sounds good, like it's meant to address many injustices throughout society, particularly racism, sexism, fascism, classism, ethnocentrism, and many other isms that some people like to falsely accuse others of in order to compensate for whatever shitty feelings they have about themselves. And therein lies the danger. How social justice is used to turn society on itself. Because what is usually at the core of many of these social justice movements is one person who wants power. And they achieve that by exploiting the understandable resentment of legitimate grievances. However, social justice leaders and groups usually bring people together under the false pretense of solving these problems by blaming society at large, especially institutions and businesses they can shake down and even take over. And this is what gets missed among many well-intentioned social justice activists and so-called warriors. And that's who this video is meant for. Anyone who wants to consider themselves a social justice warrior. You're the ones I sincerely want to reach. And I hope you don't think I'm trying to be insulting or ironic or condescending, because I'm tired of seeing the needless divide among people. I don't want to be part of some political team that goes around taunting the other team. That's why I can't stand this whole calculated divide between the left versus right, liberals versus conservatives, Democrats versus Republicans especially. However, what's wrong is wrong, and certain ideas and policies need to be called out when they're counterproductive and especially destructive. Which is why my advice to any hopeful SJWs watching this video is, don't waste your time getting a college degree in social justice. And don't waste your money on many of these groups that ultimately don't do shit other than protest, misrepresent problems, silence debate, and ultimately promote victimhood and entitlement that further perpetuates society's problems like a vicious cycle. Also, whenever you join these causes or groups like Black Lives Matter or Antifa or By Any Means Necessary, let alone ISIS, you're gonna get used and even killed. These groups operate like cults. They feel welcoming and even empowering at first, but they place a lot of demands on people, especially for their money. And that's why their causes are always far-reaching and grandiose in scope. It's always about poverty or racism or climate change, yet they're never very specific. And that's because these problems are not meant to be solved. Instead, they're used as ambiguous, lofty goals where emotions and good intentions are more valued than solutions. Because emotions and intentions can be exploited for years. For example, it's one thing to look at poverty overall and think, wow, that's so unfair. What can I do to help? The first thing any of these groups will tell you is, join us, donate, and donate till it hurts. We'll take care of the rest. Yet if you start breaking down poverty in, say, here in the United States, and you start investigating the root causes of poverty, you will quickly realize that, first of all, many people who claim poverty are not that poor. And second of all, it's not always forces beyond their control. Many people willingly make bad decisions with their lives that's no one else's fault but their own. And how would social justice activists react to what I just said? That's victim blaming. No, it's not. It's pointing out some of the unfortunate realities of poverty. That's why if you really want to solve that problem, for example, one of the first things to do is discourage single motherhood. Stop having multiple children you can't afford to raise with multiple men you have no intention of raising them with. That's not a feminist badge of honor. It's a recipe for disastrously dysfunctional families. Also, discourage criminal behavior. Don't excuse it, let alone glorify it. I know, despite my shirt. But this should not be illegal in the first place. Instead, encourage people to finish high school at the very least. Take the time to know what you're good at and see how you could leverage that talent and passion in the job market. Then get a job even if you hate it and be patient until you find a better one. Maybe start a business of your own. And if this becomes legal, there's a hell of a lot of business opportunities to be found. Yet these practical, common sense solutions are not at all promoted by social justice groups or career politicians who support them. Why? Because it would render them obsolete. There's no need for any of these groups or politicians to exist. if everyone made it a point to get their shit together and realize what problems in their life are self-induced. Because the best way to solve a problem is to avoid it in the first place. I know, Scully. I'm starting to sound like a moralizing asshole. But if you think I'm full of shit, please let me know in the comments down below. I want to help save the world too, you know. But there are tried and proven ways of going about it. Just like there's tried and proven ways on how not to go about it, such as Fidel Castro's totalitarian tyranny, which irreparably destroyed the lives of millions of Cubans for over half a century in the name of social justice. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe by clicking on my face. And if you want to support this channel, click on the Patreon logo or donate via paypal.me/homegrown.